Hello, my fellow FENERBAHÇE fans. Sam here, and welcome to a bit of a different type of a video. This is going to be top 5 underrated players that have played for FENERBAHÇE. I just want to mention this is going to be 5 players, but not specifically based on rankings, who's the best or this or that. Just 5 players that I think are really underrated when they played for us, and not really getting spoken a lot of. Again, this is a personal opinion, but if you have a different opinion or you have a different player you think was really underrated that when he played for us, feel free to comment it down below in the comment section. And you could even state out your opinions. Do you agree with the players that I've picked or disagree? And in general, let me know your guys' opinions. So, again, another thing I want to mention is these players are going to be from basically 2004 to the current day. 5 of them, but most of them were around the player for us around 2010 to 15-ish and onwards. Because due to my age, I wasn't able to watch the matches in the early 2000s, other than a few here and there, and because we didn't really have the channels, or they weren't broadcasting, so it was really hard to get through. One you could see in highlights, but I prefer watching football matches. Even if I want to analyze something, I'd like to watch the whole 90 minutes. But so I won't be having any players from the early 90s, late 90s, 80s, 70s, and on. Because I haven't watched it other than a couple of matches that I've seen highlights, but I can't really be saying, who was really underrated, because I haven't seen them play on a weekly basis, unfortunately. But I'll try to get on with that as well, try to get more materials to watch on, and maybe make a part 2 for this one. But without further ado, let's get in. Our first player would be a striker that has played for us from 2012 towards 2016, if I can remember correctly. It's Pierre Webo. Personally, really underrated player, underrated striker that played for us. Personally, I feel like he had a really great contribution for us all the time he played in. He came in mid-transfer season, the year where we went to Europa League semi-finals. In general, he was a clutch player, my opinion. Whenever he came off the bench, he would score, and in general, he was a great striker. I feel like he's really underrated because when you look down, this guy played for Fenerbahçe, right? Let's say, just giving out, right? Niang played for us. Now, again, I don't want to downplay Niang. He's one of my favorite strikers, but, he gets spoken a lot. Now, these are fairly rated players, and then there are underrated ones such as Pierre Webo. Though Niang played one season and he literally wrecked the league on himself, but they were a bit of a different type of strikers. But in looking towards the contribution to the scoreline, I feel like Webo is really downplayed and very underrated. Considering the season he came in, he had about I remember he scored a couple of penalty goals. He scored 2 goals against Galatasaray. In general, he would also, the next season, basically after Aykut Kocaman left, and the season where we won the league with Arsenal, he was actually a clutch man, because from time to time he would come on in second half and score in the last minutes and get us the 3 points. He was massively underrated. Though he wasn't a target man, he was more like a general forward, because target mans are players like Vedat Muric and technically Kemal Ademi, but then his aerial control isn't that great, despite his height. But in general, it was really good. He had a good shooting, decent pace. I remember he wasn't that slow. Of course, not compared to So, Stoch, or Emenike, but in general, he had a decent pace for his age. If I remember, he came around his early 30s to our team. But in general, personal opinion, again, massively underrated. And so next player would be, again, someone around those same timeline as well, is Egemen Korkmaz. Again, one of the best Turkish defenders I've watched. Now, I know there are many more different defenders, but for me personally, Egemen was massively underrated. I mean, if last season we had him in our center-back lineup with Attila Salahi and Egemen, definitely we would have won the league. But in general, he was massively underrated center-back the year where we won the league championship, again, under Arsenal. Perfect performance. He was really good going out with the ball from the back line. He was a pretty decent passer too. physically he was buff man, literally. Like, it wasn't easy to beat him down when it came to strength. Aerial duels, again, very good. His headers would come in the last minutes, clutch goals and all. In general, I feel like what Fenerbahce lacked after, like, Kjaer and all left was a center back type like Egeman, because I mean anyone in his caliber is a good defender in my opinion. I feel like he's really underrated. To be honest, the center backs we had the time he was playing were also not that bad. I mean, if you look at big names, Kjaer, Skrtel, and then we had Bruno Alves. These guys were pretty good too, but I feel like Egeman was a bit downplayed. He was still a great defender. Yes, he was aging a bit, but if anyone remembers the match where we played against Erzurumspor, I think what was it, the second homecoming of Ersun Yanal's stint with us, and that where I think we drew 2-2 or we beat them. I can't remember. It was at Kadıköy. But despite his age, the man was still awesome. I felt like, dude, we could have just literally brought him and played him that season alone, with that performance. He was massively underrated, in my opinion. Even he got a Europa League goal, if anyone remembers. That was also a massive, and it took us to basically semifinals, if I can remember correctly. Then next player would be, again, this one is a bit of 50-50 in the fan base and all that stuff. It's Miha Zajc. We got him about 2 seasons ago. I feel like he's massively underrated and underused as well. We got him for, we traded him with Salih, and we paid about, 3 plus, somewhere more, pretty much like more than 3 million euros. But personally, again, underused. He's a great midfielder. He's almost like a box-to-box player and an advanced playmaker too. Another thing is, I feel like if Vitor Pereira thinks that keeping him would be good, I feel like, again, it'd be a great thing to do, because he'd pretty much fit onto his system. Physically, he might not look that buff or strong, but he's got a pretty good balance. So it won't be easy to knock him off that, from what it looks from outside. Oh, he's skinny, he'll get knocked off. No, he's actually pretty good. He's also gifted, very good with the ball. And if anyone remembers the 3-0 first half 3-0 Besiktas match, and we got the comeback 3-3, that goal he scored, that was actually perfect placement. He came from the back and straight forward, got into the spot and scored his goal. Basically, he knows where to run as a midfield. I feel like we can play him as a number 8. But back to the topic. I've seen a lot of people say that he's not really good enough for Fenerbahce, which I think is wrong, because he's underrated player, because we didn't play him. I mean, if last season we played him in specific matches, I feel like he would have been a perfect fit for our team, but I don't know why they ended up loaning him. I mean, why did we get him in the first place and then loan him the next season? It didn't really make any sense. But in general, I feel like he's a really underrated player. Again, this is my opinion on Miha Zajc. Someone else could have been in the list too, but I watched him. I really liked him. I feel like he's not really being spoken a lot of, and not even seen as a first team player. It's pretty upsetting. But in general, yes, our midfield is stacked and all that stuff. But I feel like some matches we can play Irfan, Mesut, Zajc in midfield, depending on the matches, and if you want to control the ball and all that stuff. Next player will be Reto Ziegler. Now, the thing is, Ziegler is also 50-50, because a lot of people think he's fairly rated on other 50% things, like, he's underrated. Personally, I feel like he's underrated too. He didn't play much for us, but all the time he played, the man literally put his heart on the pitch. That assist to Musa, the bicycle kick goal against Galatasaray, that was enough to actually prove the guy literally was bleeding, Fenerbahce's colors on his veins. No kidding. I really absolutely love the man. I feel like he was really underrated. Personally, from what I remember watching him back in the days, he was really good defensively. I mean, people were saying he wasn't enough offensively. However, I felt like that wasn't the case. Because Caner was a much more offensive-minded left back / left mid. However, I feel like Ziegler was also, close level to him. Of course, he wasn't crossing and getting enough assists like Caner would get, 11, 12. But I feel like that the season where we got Hasan Ali instead of him, we could have just gone with Ziegler. And I feel like it would have been a much more better contribution to the team instead of... Now, I'm not trying to play Hassan Ali. I'm not trying to downplay him, but he wasn't really that great for us, in comparison to Ziegler. Should have been the one that we should have bought, and instead of spending like 3 million on him, if I'm not mistaken. But in general, statistically as well, he wasn't that bad. Obviously, you don't expect all the left backs to be Roberto Carlos or Andre Santos to score like 5, 6, or 10 goals and get like double digits assists too. But personally, massively underrated player. I wish back then, we could have just gotten him and had him on the team at least for another couple more years. Because that's what we really needed on the team. Even last season, we needed players who would put their hearts on the line, not give up after like going 1-0 down. It's almost like what happens with Barcelona in big Champions League matches for the past 3 years. Going down 1-0 and the whole players just start giving up and like okay, yeah, we lost. Let's just pack our bags and go home. Anyways, next player. Again, I really haven't seen this man really being praised that often, or like remembered as a really decent player for Fenerbahçe. So I mean, he doesn't really get spoken a lot of. Is Uğur Boral. The match against Sevilla, his performance was actually one of the performances that got us to the quarterfinals. I know like Volkan's performance, the penalty saving and all that stuff, but in general, Uğur Boral, in my opinion, the matches he played in Champions League, the left side was completely filled by him. Anyone remembers the match against Sevilla? The man literally pocketed arguably one of the best right backs in the world, Dani Alves, for a entire whole match. That was insane. And in general, he was a really great player, massively underrated. Obviously, again, the sad part is in our league, in Turkish league and all that stuff, people look for goals. Even if you're a center back, if you don't have if you haven't scored goals, they'd be like, okay, you're bad. But in general, if you're looking into tactically, players like Uğur Boral and all that stuff, all that players, sorry, you would see that, these guys are basically a part of the system. And in Zico's system, he actually played perfectly. I mean, what made him really great was not only his pace, but he was actually pretty good at defense as well. From what I remember, it's actually not that bad. He was pretty good with defending too. I mean, that's what the matches he played, That's when you saw that he wasn't that bad. But no, I've never really seen him to be praised anywhere, or just been saying he's a really good left mid, or he played as a left back few matches. If I'm not mistaken, he played as a right mid too, but I can't remember what matches were those. It's been quite some time now. But that's pretty much the list of 5 players. Maybe I'll make a part 2. Again, in the beginning of the recording, I mentioned if you have different opinions, feel free to state it down on the comment section down below. And I hope you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys on the next Fener Talk session, probably after 3 to 4 days. So take care and stay safe. Peace out.